Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. If you are on the Instagram, you've seen the clip of this, please join me on YouTube at Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Thank you guys for all the followers, the new subscribers. Thank you for being here. So I wanted to answer a question because I've had a lot of questions concerning children and narcissism. And so the only reason why I haven't really responded so quickly is because of the fact, as a licensed mental health provider, mental health providers, licensed marriage family therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, we go through school and we learn about mental health, and symptoms, and that's where the DSM plays, those that are pathological problems and symptoms and diagnosis, and age differences as to when someone is diagnosed with something, and so people branch off into their own interest. And what they're strong in or they like to work with. I do not specialize with children. I have the basic knowledge because I do have to ask clients about their childhood history. Were you diagnosed with anything as a child? Especially those like in a criminal system and juvenile detention centers. That's something very relevant to look at, is behaviors and diagnosis in childhood, which gives you an idea, of what can possibly develop from different diagnoses. And so I do not specialize in children, so I'm very careful at what I present when I present information. Now, I will tell you this, many of you are asking about children and narcissism. And first of all, a therapist, a licensed mental health provider, that diagnose, therapists are very reluctant at diagnosing children with, and is written, with narcissistic personality disorder until like the age of 18 and older, because of the fact the symptoms of narcissism is very common for children that are developing, and especially in teenagers. So a lot of you think your teenagers are narcissists, and this is really a normal development for teens. They're selfish, they're grandiose, they're better than anybody else. They definitely know more than the parent, of course. They've been around longer than you mentally. So a lot of the behavior that you see in teens and developing children, selfishness, that's very normal parts of development. Now, where it becomes abnormal is if it starts causing problems, for themselves or for other people. That's why you'll see things like some behavior problems diagnosed in childhood. The way the DSM is created is that there are some disorders that are in childhood that are not in adulthood, and then there are diagnoses in adult diagnoses that are not in child diagnosis. For example, narcissistic personality disorder, like I said, because a lot of the symptoms that you see for NPD are normal developmental phases for children. And so you can look, though, now keep in mind that, all children or all people that have been, some of you have said it, that have had experiences with narcissistic parents, or you've had experience with narcissistic loved ones or romantic relationships. Sometimes you can look back to see how abused that individual that has NPD, the narcissist, how abused they may have been, neglected, rejected, sexually or physically abused. And then you see some that come from what we would consider a good family. But if you have parents that have narcissism, or even toxic, or not mentally disabled, but traumatized parents, when they're raising children, they can be dysfunctional in how they raise children. Now, a narcissist has no boundaries. Everything that a narcissist does, the narcissist does for fuel. And children are very susceptible to it because they love their parents. You have become a hero to them. They, oh my gosh, you're the greatest thing. So, they love their parents. Even when they become rebellious, in the back of their mind, they still think you're a good parent. You're not going to tell you that. I mean, gosh, they're teenagers, mom, dad, but the behavior, when you begin finding children that have a lot of school behavior problems, they have legal issues, you can go back in their childhood and see, dysfunctional. But what about when you have a parent that may have a disability, may have their own mental health problems, where they don't know how to differentiate and parentify the child? Those that may have been divorced, those may have had someone die, the spouse die, those that may have had their own physical inabilities, where they parentify that child, and that child, they make the comment, you're the man of the house now. you're the woman of the house now. So you're taking that child and putting them, or even the words you're speaking, you're putting them at a level that they're not supposed to be at, that their minds and their experiences cannot handle. And then you have those that are narcissists that put them in that position, and they look at them as an extension of themselves, even to a point where they will cross the boundaries and have sex with the son or daughter, because they put them in the same category, the level as an adult. They don't see, pedophiles, or those that may not physically or sexually abuse the child, but they mentally put them in a position where they expect the child to meet all their needs. When I'm hurt, when I'm angry, I need you to cater to me. So what husbands and wives do for each other, everything is okay. You want me to do anything, to help, booster that, or I'm looking for my client, but to help, stabilize that mood, feel, comfort that individual. Well, a narcissist will look at a child inappropriately with the expectation that your responsibility is to make me feel better. So they put these responsibilities on a child that a child is not mentally capable of understanding. They don't have life experience to know what to do. And so then you have those parents, for example, like if you've ever seen it, you have those parents that have a problem with attachments. And that's why I wanted to get to this topic. And this is on Psychology. Let me see. Psychology Today, and is written by Brian D. Johnson, PhD. So Dr. Brian D. Johnson and Dr. Lori Berdahl. And it's warning signs. Sorry, you guys. It's warning signs, and it talks about childhood roots of narcissistic personality disorder. And that's on Psychology Today. And so as I scroll down, it talked about, let's look. Let me look. So the thing that I was talking about previously is that it says here that let's look. So that let me find it, you guys. I'm sorry. So it talks about narcissism being extremely resistant to treatment. The severe mental condition leads affected individuals to create chaos as they harm other people. And before discussing how demands for support of ego and desires can be off the rails. So, and it talks about an overview of the normal child development, what I was talking about. And it says that small children are naturally selfish as a normal part of development in which they work to get their needs met and can't understand other people's needs and desires. Then as teenagers, kids are still typically self-centered as they struggle for independence, right? And so for a lot of mental health providers, it says that they're reluctant to diagnosing until like after the age of 18. And so let's look. So it says that, so I skipped down to the bottom. It says, going back to youth, preteens aren't developed enough to manipulate, and given that teenagers are typically self-centered, clinicians are reluctant to diagnose narcissistic personality disorder before the age of 18. Still, you might notice one or more of these warning signs in teenagers indicating a risk of developing narcissism. So there is a proactive stage, and I need to study that more, because in children, you have to work very hard to stabilize them, especially if they got a narcissistic parent. That's not the time, parents, you just sit down and just go for the ride and hope for the best of your children. No, you actively have to, when they're young, you actively have to act and study and learn about how to interact with the child, how to, balance it between the negativity and the destructive ways of parenting that this narcissistic parent is doing, and balancing it back out in your own home. And so here they discuss some warning signs to look out for. And remember, you have a child, and you're dealing with therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, you have to remember that they're going by what you're reporting and what they see. You've been with that child all their life. And so you notice when things are a little off and not right, but you don't really know how to distinguish between, I wonder if this is development or onset of narcissism. So here they give some warning signs in teenagers indicating the risk of developing narcissism. So persistent bullying behaviors, such as making fun of, threatening, degrading, or scapegoating people, including parents, and other adults. So they get in, they're bullies at school. Persistent need to win no matter who gets hurt. They got to win. They can't, it's almost like it died by samurai's sword if I don't win. Simple thing, very, very, very competitive. They got to win, and they do whatever they can, cheat, get angry, throw boards across the room if they can't win. Persistent lying to benefit oneself, while lying turn lies into someone else's fault, deflect accountability by attacking messengers who point out lies, egotistical view of extraordinary self-worth. It's above and beyond what you would consider to be normal. Something is not right. And it keeps bothering you. That might be a red flag for you. Preoccupation with getting own needs met over other people. So they're not sensitive to other people's needs. They don't care. They got to get their needs met. They don't think about other people's feelings. And you could tell by the way that they talk when you say go apologize. It's simple. Kids always blame other kids, mom, but when you notice that they don't care about people's feelings and you watch them and witness them to do things and all they're concerned with is me. What about me? Okay, I understand that, I agree with that, but what about me? They don't ever see that point. Entitlement attitude, which leads to acting as if they deserve special treatment and to get whatever they want, no matter what the circumstances are. Aggressive responses to being criticized, wrong, or upset. So to correct your child, and they go into a full rage. And everybody can't be right. And to try to teach them that, they go into a full rage for even constructive criticism. Repetitively blaming others for bad outcomes. So no accountability. And being much more competitive than cooperative. So it says here that if your child or one behaves this way, you can save family and society from harm by focusing on doing the following. Now, some of them already have it ingrained in them, and so though you may try these things, do remember that some of them already have it ingrained, and it's not your fault. They have not pinpointed what causes narcissism: environment, genetics, upbringing, interaction, and you see that even from the videos. So here it says, teach them empathy. Empathy is something that's learned. No, with the kids when they squeeze the cat or something, you're like, no, soft touch. Or you may show them like, ooh, that hurts, right? So soft touch. So you're teaching them empathy. You're teaching them, don't laugh at them. That could hurt their feeling. What about, and then you remind them maybe of a time that they got laughed at. How did that make you feel? Were your feelings hurt? Well, see, they feel the same way. And they'll put two and two together. A normally developing child will put two and two together, but it requires your work. Value character traits like honesty and kindness over being tough or dominant. Stop emphasizing on looks and you're supposed to compliment the kids. They're supposed to, but you don't stop over emphasizing their looks and clothes and their importance or being tough or being a bully, or you go out there and beat everybody up and you have to be the best. Value honesty, that give me a hug, or I'm gonna give you ice cream because you were honest. I like that. Or being kind. That is so nice. They can only repeat what they're learning. Squelch greed, saying you're acting selfishly and that's not okay. Insist that they put other people's first routinely, remembering that actions speak louder than words. Narcissists often say that they're doing something to benefit others when they're really doing it for themselves. Build healthy self-esteem. Low self-esteem can also lead to entitlement and using others to support one's ego. You can see that with a narcissist. Most of them have a very low self-esteem. You may not see it, but they have a very low self-esteem. Don't allow false blame. I had to read something else, I'm sorry. Don't allow false blame of other people for one's own problems and failures. So avoid parenting styles linked to developing narcissistic personalities, such as neglecting, indulgent, spoiling with privilege and possessions, and promoting entitled attitudes, and cold, over-controlling, authoritarian methods which insist on perfection, winning, and toughness from a child. Okay. On the flip side, you can also help teens and young adults learn to recognize narcissists, books, videos like this. Learn to recognize narcissists so they can avoid their toxic harm or survive it. A necessary foundation for this is the ability to think critically about what someone is saying, says, or does, which starts developing during adolescence. So let's move over. Let me bring this to your attention too. Something that you may see in younger children. Let me see which one's the better one for you guys. Okay. So this is on, of course, the WebMD. You know, that doesn't mean that's legitimate. Legitimate mean the doctor's writing it, but I was reading it, and it was kind of giving a basic explanation to reactive attachment disorders. And I wanted to show you some symptoms and some signs that, you know, you can look for in children that you know, those of you that are in the social work services, mental health. Some of you guys are in law, but give you something to look at, especially when children are having behavioral problems. Do know that's why it's so important and so relevant that when a child is born, that the baby gets skin-to-skin contact with mother, father, skin-to-skin contact, you know, so that the parent, the mother, the father can develop an attachment with the baby, and the baby can develop an attachment with the parents. And so in that, do know that, and you probably have seen it before too, where you can tell that there's a pretty healthy attachment with the baby because the mom keeps the baby close. She's always kissing, or the father always kissing the baby, and it doesn't mean that the parent isn't a narcissist. You know, they have different agendas and how they go about it. But you know, that it's healthy to see a mom admiring her baby, kissing her baby, and holding the baby, and just love to touch and hold the baby and touchy. And then you have those parents, you know, and you see it a lot in women. I've seen it in women where, you know, it's like the baby is never close to the body. There's not a lot of coddling. Everything is very mechanical, you know, to fix the baby's hair. You know, when is the eyebrows going to come in? You have no facial features, you know, instead of, oh my gosh, my baby doesn't have an expression yet. You know, you see the difference? One sounds very judgmental, and one is kind of a, oh my gosh, I can't wait till my baby's eyebrows come in so I can see what kind of facial expressions they have, you know, what their face is going to complete, you know. But with a narcissistic parent, you notice that it's almost like the child is baggage, a purse, a wallet. They're not really close. They carry them, you know, it's awkward when you see them carrying them. There's nothing close, you know, when they look at the baby, you know, but a lot of them will use the baby to get attention from people, you know, because once the baby's getting attention, the parent is getting attention as well, and that is their source of fuel. And they look at the baby like, well, if people are not doing that all the time, what is the point? You're kind of like worthless. You're just like a little piece of lump of coal, and that's so sad, you know. But you can see them as like nothing is parental, like everything is mechanical, nothing is close, like it's baby feet, baby burp, you know. It's nothing like, oh, you know, and comforting the baby, and you know, the baby cries, like, okay, they're trying to figure out like what is making this baby cry, you know. Or a lot of times you see them, you want people to see, they want to, you know, this is the fuel that I'm gonna get, and you know, after a while people are not gonna keep giving you fuel over the baby. So what ends up happening is like, I don't know what to do with this baby, then it's not serving its purpose, you know. So you'll see that a lot, like and so also in the development of childhood disorders, one of them is called the RAD, or reactive attachment disorder. And this is where this was the article right here, where it was talking about the condition is found in children who have been grossly neglect care and do not form healthy emotional attachments with their primary caregivers, usually their mothers, before the age of 5. Sounds familiar, right? And so attachment develops when children are repeatedly soothed, comforted, and cared for, and when the caregiver consistently meets the child's needs. So baby cry, and you know, just soothe the baby. So it's through attachment with loving, protective caregiver that a young child learns to love and trust others, and to become aware of their own feelings and needs, to regulate his or her own emotions, and to develop healthy relationships and positive self-image. The absence of the emotional warmth during the first few years of life can negatively affect a child's entire future. So see, with narcissistic parents, or even detached parents, sometimes a parent may have other mental health issues that keep them from being able to attach. But in this particular video, of course, we're talking about narcissistic parents. And so common symptoms that inhibit RAD include detachment. They're very detached from people. They don't know how to attach. Sounds like development of narcissism, huh? Unresponsive or resistant to comforting. Comforting, as they get, for the children, they don't know how to react to comfort. And some of them, like, it overwhelms them, you're touching me, and then, like, if you look at a narcissist, they comforting and being vulnerable is a weakness to them, and so they resist at all means possible. Let's see, excessively inhibited, holding back emotions. That you notice that the child doesn't give the appropriate emotions or none at all. They don't cry. They're not scared, because it's like they don't know what emotions to assign to, do I cry when I'm happy? Am I happy when I'm hurting? It's almost like their emotions are not regulated properly. And you'll notice that with the narcissist, right? Now, it's not all the time that children with RAD develop narcissism, but, this is just something to look at, And so, let's see what else. So, the narcissist is mechanical with their emotions. They study you to figure out what kind of emotions fit for you as a player or a piece on the chessboard. And the next person, they may be totally stoic. Or the next person, you're like, I've never seen that many emotions before, So, pay attention to that. Another symptom of RAD is withdrawn or a mixture of approach and avoidance. A lot of the ones that are like cerebral narcissists, not these children, but the older ones, the cerebral narcissists, they're thinkers, they're about the mind. Sex is irrelevant to them. There's only use for a tool to pull you in, or even affection. It's like they're mechanical with the affection now that you look back at it. But when you were in it, you didn't see it. Now you're looking back at it and you see it. But for the children, you may see that withdrawal, mixture of avoid touch, avoid people in general, but they can also develop into psychopath, sociopath, which is also known as the antisocial personality disorder. Could develop into that. You never know. It depends. So many trauma or childhood disorders may develop, and it can branch out into anything. Common symptoms with that word. Let's look. Where did I go? Got stuck on the word. Okay, where is it at? Okay, here it goes. Indiscriminate sociability, inappropriately familiar or selective in the choice of attachment figures. What else? So those are two of them. What causes reactive RAD? So the RAD occurs when an attachment between a young child and his or her primary caregiver does not occur or is interrupted due to grossly neglected care. This can occur for many reasons, including persistent disregard of the child's emotional need for comfort, stimulation, and affection. That's how that empathy and that trust is playing a role with the child. Child and later on adults. Persistent disregard of the child's basic physical needs. So they're totally neglected. It's all about the parent's need. It's all about the narcissist's needs. Why does that baby keep crying like that? Because it's taken away from my attention. Or as a child gets a little older, do I look pretty, mommy, daddy? Why do you always ask? You need to stop asking. So now the wisdom behind it, meaning, don't always focus on the attention on your looks all the time. No, why you need to stop, because you're going to grow up, be arrogant and everything. They still project on these kids, and so now the child's like, I don't know where it's not appropriate for me to want attention or want someone to tell me how I look, and you'll notice even in adulthood, for those that develop narcissistic personality disorder, that there's a desperate need for that, or for some of them, they could care less. And those might be the cerebral. The somatic ones are the ones that are focused on their looks, their attention, like that. The attention for the cerebral is the thought process, the thought fuel. While for the somatic is, people looking at me, people complimenting me, the sex. They use all these tools to really get into these emotions for all the narcissists. And so, and you can see, like, for those that come from families that did not develop, or caregivers that did not develop that attachment, or complimenting back and forth. Let's see. So I just wanted to give you guys one disorder of childhood that can, it can be other you can study other disorders, and you can almost see like some of the precursors to the branching off into other types of mental health disorder. Everybody that's been traumatized in childhood does not develop NPD. Some of them develop borderline personality disorder. Some of them, adult PTSD and other mental health disorders. So it's not just they can develop NPD. That does not necessarily mean that they will develop NPD, especially if you start to get them into good counseling, before the personality has locked down and developed itself. You still can interject while they're younger, whatever you have to do, whatever you have to do. So hopefully this has helped you guys a little bit. As I said previously, normally I'm not really into childhood disorders. I do it for the purpose of dealing with the adults to try to see what they've had in their youth or what has gone on in their youth to develop the way that they develop. But normally I do not specialize with children, so it took me a little while to make this video, but hopefully it answers some questions, and I thank you guys so much for the questions. I know you guys kept on sending the question too, and so hopefully this has helped. So if you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. You're welcome to join me on Facebook. I have my book Facebook page, which is Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. You can find it at Amazon or at Barnes & Noble. You can get the ebook, Kindle, or you get the hard or soft copy, but you can order it online. You'll see the links right under my video. Also, if you need counseling through a app that I am, through a program I'm sponsored by, which is BetterHelp.com/Dr. Carmen Bryant. You can sign up for this site. It is global, international, national, and you pay a small fee, and then you can get counseling from a therapist, and you vet them and choose what type of counselor you are looking for. And so it is in the link below the video. Just hit the tab, it'll open up and you will see it. And thank you guys for your support. The other Facebook page is Psychological Health Consultants and Services, which is my professional Facebook page, but I do link all the videos in there if you guys would like to follow me. I'm on Twitter. Is Dr. Carmen Bryant 1. You can find that at Twitter. And I am on Instagram, but I do clips on Instagram. So follow me here. Hit the bell, hit the thumbs up. You'll know whenever I post new videos Tuesday through Friday. And I come on live on Sundays between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is West Coast time in the U.S. And I am usually come on live so you can ask me questions and we can talk. It's usually not a super educational video, but it gives me a time to talk to you guys, connect with you guys, and build rapport. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you with all these videos. Go order the book, share it with the teenagers. And thank you guys once again for supporting me. Thank you guys so much for being here. Go be great.